Beldum is a Pokemon that keeps itself floating by generating a magnetic force that repels Earth's natural magnetism. But what would happen if we threw him into the past or future? So for the future form of Beldum, I knew I wanted to do something completely different, and we started out by building him into a sort of missile, but even while we kept tweaking and tweaking, we just weren't able to make anything that looked decently alright. Especially with the missile changes, it started to look more and more like a pen, instead of feeling like Beldum. In order to keep that drastic change I wanted for this piece, we decided to opt into a more WoW-y design, based on a post-apocalyptic robot version of Beldum. I had the idea to turn him into a scrappy metal Pokemon, like a little robot that just scraps everything together and just builds his body out of the pieces that it can find. We decided to show this feature by adding panels on his body that show a different color than what usual Beldum has. The other decision we made was to add a small tiny wheel on the bottom of his body to once again show that this Pokemon is built out of parts instead of being pre-built. I did want to show a little bit more futurism, and that's why I decided to make his head float instead of just being part of the body. I believe that shows the technology has advanced, but this is just post-apocalyptic and nothing is left the way it was. The colors don't really change that much, just Beldum colors with the added white to there and the red color for the eyes. Iron Warbot, the future form of Beldum. In vast, enormous fields of an unknown civilization, a lot of dysfunctioning, seriously damaged Iron Warbots were found laying everywhere. The few still functioning Iron Warbots were quick to attack, leading some to believe they were used as a common soldier that people of the civilization used to engage in massive wars. Some individuals were seen trying to attach parts of their fallen comrades to themselves, but it rarely was done successfully. I think the lore for this Pokemon is perfect. It just makes him look menacing, it just makes him feel powerful, although it looks stupid. But imagine thousands or millions of these things marching towards a point, bro, you would be screwed. I actually love this design. It's daring, it's bold, it's different, and that's what it makes it different from the usual designs I made at this time, and actually still sometimes do. So overall, I am extremely happy with this piece. Now onto the future form of Metang. I remember struggling a lot with this piece. As you might know, Metang is kind of made of regular shapes, and if you don't do that properly, it will instantly show in your drawing, which makes your drawing look bad. You can definitely see that happen with the sketch at first. It looks wobbly, it looks wonky, and although I do like that for this piece, it doesn't need to be too extreme because it needs to look like metal, and wobbliness doesn't fit metal parts. I also made the pose straight onwards, which is not something you should do usually on Pokemon designs, and that makes him look stupid, but that will later show in its name. Another area you can see the lack of skills I had at this moment was the ball on the bottom of his body. The lines definitely don't help. Instead of portraying the volume that I wanted to portray, now they just look off and it doesn't look well connected. It doesn't even look like it's in the middle of the ball. It's just a poor design. Other than that, it was basically another pretty different design than usual Metang, and we just made sure to bring back the panels of the first stage into this design, and I will admit that this one doesn't look as post-apocalyptic as the first stage, and let's hope that's something we fix for the final stage. Iron Elmo, the future form of Metang. The original inventor of Iron Warbot never intended for it to evolve, but as their AI developed, they found out they could use the parts of their fallen allies to upgrade themselves, evolving into Iron Elmo. It is very destructive with its newly acquired power, and is now even turning on its own kind. Its one goal is to evolve once more into their final form by using a powerful component. It may not know exactly what that component is, but it will find out eventually. One other part for his name, Iron Elmo. That's basically because he looks so freaking stupid. I made the shiny feel that way too. It actually looks like Elmo now. I don't know. It's just a stupid design and it just looks stupid, but overall I do think it fits. It's a second stage. It just removes the coolness of Metang and just changes it into this stupid looking Sesame Street mother trucker. Oh, what did I do? For the future form of Metagross, we decided to try a different form of sketching, and that was to block out his shapes and figure out what I wanted to design instead of focusing on the line art too soon. I will admit that this took extremely long to actually finish the entire piece because we added an extra step, and the sketching over the blocky shapes had to be done quite drastically as well to add the details I wanted in the piece. But overall it did help to bring out the best design I think I probably could have made for this piece. At first I had the idea to turn this mother trucker into a tank, but that just wouldn't fit the first two stages, so we decided not to do so. It sucks though, it would have been extremely cool. Once I knew I wasn't going in that direction, I just focused on trying to bring all the elements of the first two stages into this piece, and we tried to add a few more details that the first two stages didn't have, like the wing-like shapes on his back, the more streamlined metal panels. And this time, instead of having a floating head, we combined it into one section, and the wheel is still a small tiny little thing that just makes the Pokemon wobbly if it doesn't use his hands. And I feel like that's an interesting way of making an extremely strong Pokemon also look goofy and stupid. I will admit that this Pokemon had quite a lot of empty spaces, and I feel like we did a good job by rendering this piece because we managed to add a lot of texture to areas that would otherwise look extremely flat. I will also admit that the shiny of this piece looks absolutely stunning. Like the red color you will see will blow you away. Iron Doomsday, the future form of Metagross. This mechanical behemoth is believed to be the ultimate weapon created by the unknown civilization. Its core is powered by an immense and unstable energy source. Unlike its predecessors, Iron Doomsday no longer scavenges parts. It forges new components within itself, adapting in terrifying ways mid-battle. Its intelligence is said to surpass even the greatest supercomputers, allowing it to strategize and coordinate like an entire army on its own. Records suggest that the few who encounters an active Iron Doomsday describe it as a walking apocalypse, tearing through landscapes as if it's programmed to bring the end of all things. Some researchers fear that the revival of too many of these machines could recreate the wars that once ended their creators. This piece is epic, especially the fact that it's called Iron Doomsday. I think that's awesome. I think it really feels and shows the power of this monstrosity. I just think it's a cool Pokemon. The shiny looks absolutely stunning. Like, imagine hearing the sparkles bling and just seeing the red shiny right there. That's freaking awesome. I'm out of words. It looks cool. 10 out of 10 design. I love it. For the past form of Beldum, I had an idea quite quickly, and I wasn't going to change that drastically from the design of regular Beldum. I figured it would be cool if we changed the Beldum into an ancient looking form of it, removing the more futuristic feeling, the metallic feeling of regular Beldum, and changing it into an ancient looking rock with some holy sentient energy flowing through within, and adding some moss onto its design to really make it feel like an ancient form of Beldum. For the body, we first did a shape study to know exactly how I should build up a Beldum, and once I had the body shape, we just started to tweak every single detail to make it feel more rocky instead of the streamlined metal straight lines you use for metal shapes. Adding in the colors was definitely my favorite part of this design, because we picked out a color palette that would just fit really well with the ancient buildings of Greece. Like the soft yellowy body color with the dark brown in the middle and the yellow eye that just pops out of there. Overall, I'm still extremely happy with this piece, and I don't think I would have changed anything if I did it today. For real. Holy Sentinel, the past form of Beldum. This Pokemon is often found in Sky Pillar, via Sky Ruins, and the Hoenn Desert Ruins. It seems that they are guarding the legendary Pokemon that lie within these structures. Its energy core can be seen throughout its midsection, and if struck will cause Holy Sentinel to briefly get stunned. Alright, Holy Sentinel, I feel like this Pokemon shows exactly what it needs to show. It really feels ancient, it really feels holy, it feels like you could see it in an ancient ruin somewhere, and especially you see that it works whenever we flip the colors for its shiny and turn it back into Beldum. You see that it looks off, right? But that's why it looks so good. Like it really feels like a more ancient version of Beldum in this way. Now for this piece it was of course a bit easier because we had a direction from the start, but I did know noticed that once I had the body shape in and we started morphing it into a rocky kind of form of Metang, we made the mistake to make all the lines feel too wobbly, because rocks still have quite some straight lines, but they're just more jagged and they're just more random instead of a straight line going from one side to the other. And because we made them so wobbly, it just looked like he was made of mush. So we had to go back and tweak a lot of areas that just were too wobbly. Once that was fixed, it just looked rocky and exactly the way we wanted. I also made sure to add a lot of cracks in the stony design, because I felt like it would be cool to show that the Pokemon is kind of hollow and that it really has some powerful energy source in its body that's just waiting to be released. I also have to say that the lore for this entire line is extremely cool, and yes, I would catch this Pokemon anyways if it was real, but the added lore to it would make me even want it more. Righteous Rock, the best form of Metang. The yellow energy core in this Pokemon's body functions as a heart, brain and weapon. This means it must protect it to keep itself alive. Righteous Rock has been dubbed the legendary guard of Hoenn, for that it's always seen hovering around ancient towers and ruins. Though it can use its energy core as an attack, it leaves Righteous Rock exhausted and vulnerable for a while, so it must only use it when truly necessary. I don't really have too much to say about this design. Like, I think it works and it looks pretty cool, but I don't love it. I don't hate it either. It's just in the middle. It's just there. It's fine. It works. It's not cool. It's not cool. I'm okay with it. Let me know if you like it. It's just there. It's just there, it exists, and that's fine. I don't know, man. Now onto the past form of Metagross, where I definitely screwed up a little. I already started drawing on this piece and I just worked it out. It looked already pretty cool. I just forgot about it. I just completely forgot about it and started brainstorming a different design. I figured it would be cool to make a golem-esque design for this piece, to really make it feel like it hasn't evolved and just feels more ancient. But when I looked at my Procreate, I already saw this piece and I know I could have drawn another one, but I didn't have the time. I am way too busy with working 4 days a week, so I just figured let's go with this one and make it the best we could. I did struggle a lot with the hind legs because they were quite difficult to get right, because you don't really see them that much, so you don't want to add too many lines in there because that focuses the eyes onto them, and that's not what I want. But I also wanted to make sure they did look right. So I was struggling quite a bit. I removed a lot of lines, I added them back, and it actually took me the most amount of time to fix the legs of this design. But to be fair, usually that happens whenever you have a quadruped or any creature in general, because legs and arms are always the most difficult. I do think the rendering doesn't look as good as it looked on the future form of Metagross, and that's basically because the body color was too light, so the added highlights don't really have that crisp effect that it did on the future form. So it is what it is. I do think it's a cool design. It isn't anything that cool though. Like, I will probably give it a 6. 6 is sufficient. Divine Bastion, the past form of Metagross. Worshipped as a living fortress, it guarded sacred ruins for centuries without moving. Its glowing core releases bursts of divine energy set to drive back entire armies. This makes it a symbol of protection and unshakable strength. The same thing for this piece as we had for the Metang piece. It does work, it does look cool, but it isn't anything crazy. I feel like we could have done a bit more with this design, but overall it's still a cool line, but it's not that cool. I feel like the story is cool, but the design itself could have been a lot better. And yeah, well, it is what it is.